Hi, today I am talking to you from beautiful Sedona, Arizona, and I am going to talk about a topic that you might not think would come up as questions very often, but I want to tell you, yes, they do. So, I get a lot of people calling and saying, Dawn, I want to get a vacation home, or I'm retiring and I want to find a home, but I can't figure out if I want to live in Flagstaff or I want to live in Sedona. Is that so unusual? And I'm like, no, of course not. That's a great question. I mean, who could pick? There's so many great things about both places. So today, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to give you a little bit of a pros and cons of each area. I mean, we all probably would love to have a house in both places. It's about an hour from my home in the village to Flagstaff, and there's so many good things about both towns. So one of the questions you're going to need to ask yourself is, are you going to be really retired where you're not working at all, or semi-retired like me where you are working now and may want to transition to retirement later on in the house that you pick right now. So if you are in Flagstaff, there are many more job opportunities just because, for one, there's more people, more employers, but there's also different industries that you don't have here in Sedona. In Sedona, it's very much tourism related and hospitality, and then a few service industry jobs such as, grocery industry and that kind of thing. But if you were going to work another good 10 years, you may want to look heavily at Flagstaff just because there are more job opportunities. Another thing is, do you have kids now? Do you have kids that might want to go to Northern Arizona University in 10 years and go to college there? I know I went there, and my parents at the time had a home at Mormon Lake, which was close enough for me to live and go to NAU. But if you have a little condo, say, or a home near Flagstaff, that could save you a lot of money in dorm rooms, which are one of the most overpriced part of the whole university experience. Another thing is, can you handle the cold and can you handle the heat? If you're very cold sensitive, Flagstaff might not be for you because it does occasionally in the dead of winter get to the 0 to 10 degree area. Cloudless nights are going to be colder. Occasionally it'll get below 0, but not very often. But in Sedona, in the summertime, like this summer, for instance, is the summer that never ends. It's been over 100 degrees for like 2 months, 100 to 103, 95. Now that's very hot for us, but if you can't handle that, then you might want to disregard Sedona. Another thing, do you have any sensitivity to high elevations? Some people have a hard time living in a 7,000 foot elevation, particularly more elderly people. For example, my mother never had a problem with elevation until she got in her mid-70s, and then suddenly she didn't want to come to my cabin anymore because she said she had a hard time breathing, and a little bit of the altitude was affecting her where it didn't when she was younger. Are you thinking of your property, using it as an investment to supplement, say, your mortgage cost? You actually could rent out your place in either Flagstaff or Sedona. Both have very low vacancy rates now. In Flagstaff, you might be better off because you can get students every year that will live there the entire year and are easy tenants. Whereas Sedona, I don't know, there's low vacancy too, but it seems like Flagstaff, you do have a lot of rental opportunities that might make it a better investment if that's your, half of your reasoning behind your purchase. Do you like snow activities? Are you an avid skier? Do you like cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, skiing? If those are your favorite hobbies, you might want to begin Flagstaff. But if you're more of a hiker or a mountain biker, actually either place has good hiking and mountain bike trails. One thing about Flagstaff, though, I know this is hard to believe, but when I lived there in the 90s, I worked out all the time, and I would work out in high elevations, and then I would go home to my friends in the valley, and we'd go on a bike ride, and I would kick their butt because I was used to training in high elevation, and it made my lungs very strong. So if you're an athlete, that might be something to consider. Now, if you are still overwhelmed and don't know which would be better, Flagstaff or Sedona, there is one thing I can do, and I do this all the time. People will call me early in your search, just when you're starting to think about it, and I will set you up on a drip in both Flagstaff and Sedona, because I happen to subscribe to 4 of the state's multiple listing services. So Northern Arizona is one, where you're getting listings from Flagstaff, Mons Park, those areas. Sedona Verde Valley I also subscribe to, where you get all the Sedona listings, and also Cottonwood. The Phoenix, because you have to subscribe to Phoenix, that's where a lot of the buyers are. And then finally Prescott area. So any of those areas, I can just put you on an email where it sends you new listings from whatever your search criteria, and then you can look at both. So that could be nice. And then maybe a year, 2 years down the road, you know when you're ready, you know exactly what you want, and that could be helpful. So one last thing about, whoa, Sedona versus Flagstaff is like shopping. If you're into shopping and there's certain types of stores that you like, we have a lot of stores here in Sedona that are art gallery. Actually, we have very cool high-end thrift stores here that I love, but there's a lot of good shopping in Flagstaff too, so it just depends on your taste. Now, there is a Crystal Magic in both Flagstaff and Sedona. Now, Crystal Magic has wonderful selection of crystals that you could be there all day just drooling, but very, very expensive. So, again, food, shopping, plenty of outdoor things to do in both Flagstaff and Sedona. Beautiful to look at, beautiful scenery. Hard to go wrong with either, but that's the choice that you're facing, and don't feel bad, because it happens all the time. Now, I'm going to end on one final note, is housing. So if you're looking to buy a home in both Flagstaff and Sedona, we have a shortage of inventory right now. I would say in Flagstaff, it's actually much worse. And I'm going to give you an example. So Flagstaff is a city with 75,000 people. And I looked in the multiple listing service last week, because that's when I was going to make this video. So I'm sorry, I'm very behind. There were only in the under 300,000 range, which was $300,000, which was where a lot of people are buying starter homes or maybe second home. There were only 12 for under 300,000 in Flagstaff, and now 8 of those I'm not even counting, because those are the ones on Litzer Lane, which there's nothing wrong with Litzer Lane. It's just that it used to be an apartment complex, and I keep on remembering when my sister went to NAU, she lived on those apartments, and I actually dated a guy that lived in those apartments, and to me it's very apartmenty. So if I discount that, and oh, by the way, I'm only looking at single family or townhomes or condos. If I throw the Litzer Lane, that means there's only four listings in Flagstaff active that are under $300,000 for, 75,000 people. And if you're looking under 400,000, there's only 25 available. So again, very small amount of inventory. If you do the math, it's like for every one listing for every 3,000 people. In Sedona, actually in Flagstaff, I think it's one listing for every 3,300 people, and Sedona, it's one listing for every 3,000 people. Again, very low. In Sedona, if you're looking under 400,000, no, if you're looking under 300,000, there's nothing. And again, I'm only looking at single family and townhouse condos. I left out manufacturing just because those are controversial. If you're looking under 400,000, there's only 3 listings available in all of the Sedona MLS. And now again, there are about 10,300 residents here in Sedona, so that's all there is for the number of people living here. So that's just something to think about if you're considering the 2 places and are interested in real estate. I hope this helped you make your decision. My name's Dawn Dickenson. I live here in Sedona. I sell in Sedona, Flagstaff, Northern Arizona real estate. If you have any questions, feel free to find my contact information below and throw me a line. I do post videos about Northern Arizona every single week. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and any questions, you could also leave a comment below. I hope to see you here again next week.